All right, so I think by now you already know who Simon Sinek is, right? I mean, he's everywhere. You've seen him everywhere. His TED Talks are recommended by everyone. Everyone talks about him as being one of the best public speakers on the planet. And according to Wikipedia, he's an author and inspirational speaker on business leadership, being very well known for his bestseller Start With Why, which is the book that I want to talk about today. And he began his career at some New York ad agencies. And so now you're probably thinking, why are you sharing this detail? Is it even relevant? Is it even important? Yes, and I'm going to tell you later why. Ciao, I'm Martina. I'm a soon-to-be somatic leadership coach, and welcome to The Centered Leader. So, start with why. So let's start with why I decided to read this book and give this book a chance. So, I'm personally very fascinated by leadership and how one can develop this type of skill. And I also love books on self-growth, self-improvement, and so on. So if you are into these kind of topics, it's almost impossible not to bump into this book. It's like, I guess, like one of the most read ones, all of the self-improvement books, and I do see why. After all, it's a good book, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's a bad book. It's just that you want to be careful about some things. It's like my system 1 says it's a good book, and my system 2 says, well, let's evaluate a couple of things. So, the purpose of this book is to show that great leaders and companies all act and communicate the same way, which is starting with why. He kind of like illustrates this interesting idea of the golden circle, which is a framework through which companies can be built and people can be inspired. And kind of looks like this. So it's like 3 circles, and going from the outside in, you've got the what, which is what do you do? What's your idea? Then you've got the how. So how do you do what you do? What's the process of what you're doing? And then you've got the why, which is why you do it. What's the purpose of what you do? And he says basically that average companies think from the outside in, from the what, meaning that they focus on telling you that their product is the best on the market and that they've got the best tools, the best technology. Then they talk about how they produce that product, and then when they get asked why they do what they do, they kind of give very poor whys, because in their pursuit of the best product, they kind of left their mission behind. So they don't actually know why their product exists in the first place. So Sinek's idea is, if you want to be a great leader, if you want to make your company great, you need to reverse this process. So going from the inside out, starting with the why, telling people why you created a product, a service, what's your purpose, what do you want to deliver to the world. And overall, I think it's a great way of viewing the concept of business. It also gives you the opportunity to reflect on your mission and your values, on the things that enlighten you. And it definitely changes the dynamics of the company, because it's an evaluation and a reconstruction of the core values. So the foundations are extremely good, and it is a very strong idea. The problem is the book, that sometimes becomes trivial and a little bit cliche. But let's dive into it. So I've listed 4 main points, and point number 1 is that he's a little misleading about manipulation, how it works. So there's a chapter in the book called Manipulations Lead to Transactions, Not Loyalty, where basically he argues that manipulation techniques are perfectly valid strategy for driving a transaction, or for any behavior that is only required once or on rare occasions, but not for creating loyalty, and says that the danger of manipulation is that it works. So basically what he's saying is that A, manipulation is wrong, and B, that starting with why means no use of manipulation, which is completely false, because the golden circle is a form of manipulation, and manipulation per se is not necessarily wrong. In order to have influence, a leader, a company, a politician, a CEO must be able to manipulate what's around them. A politician must be able to manipulate because otherwise it does not drive change. We are talking about manipulation as the power to influence. I'm not talking about the pathological need for power and control. That is something else. Healthy manipulation is using influence to encourage individuals and teams to achieve goals that align with both personal and organizational interests. And the golden circle is healthy manipulation. If you believe that just by changing the order of the information given to the customers, you are more likely to make them trust you, this is a form of manipulation. And that's okay. So you cannot say that manipulation is bad because that will literally go against the same idea that you created. The golden circle is a strategic and clever way of delivering a message. Period. Point number 2 is that it may be a bit too long. Yeah, this book could have literally been something like 100 pages. The times that he mentions how Apple is so great and that people don't buy what you do but they buy why you do it is crazy. I mean, I do get that you want to stress the fact that yes, people buy how your values are aligned with the things that you are selling, but it's repeated over and over again, and after the 15th time I felt I was reading the same thing all over again, sometimes even with the same examples. So yeah, definitely could have been shorter. Point number 3 is that he's got a pattern and it works. So at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that Simon Sinek's background is in advertising. And there's a specific reason I mentioned that. And that is that Simon Sinek knows exactly what he's doing and what he's talking about. He literally studied how to talk to people in order to sell. He knows the exact words to use, so I wouldn't be surprised if he applied this strategy in writing his own book, and that's actually what he did. And that's what he does every time that he shows up on TV or is being interviewed. So if you haven't watched any of his interviews, just watch one later and notice what his speech sounds like. So he loves starting with a personal story so that he creates empathy with the listeners. And then he mentions something like this CEO of this great company or this multi-billionaire company to provide value to what he's saying. And it's a pattern and it works. What did he say in his book before? The damage of manipulation is that it works. So are you literally just saying that your own influence is damaging? Simon. Point number 4 is being visionary and inspiring enough? You can see that he self-portraits himself as an optimist, a visionary, and these are not bad features, don't get me wrong. Actually, they are essential if you're planning to start your own business and become a leader. If you're not optimistic and inspired about your own future, especially if you set very big goals for yourself, then who is it gonna be? However, there's a huge difference between having a goal, taking action into achieving that goal while being optimistic and positive, and having a goal and simply relying on optimism and positivity to achieve it. That doesn't work. That simply doesn't work. And the thing is, there's a lot of people out there that are tremendously good at convincing you that in order to succeed in life, you just need a good idea and a good perspective. That you can get what you want by manifesting your dreams or simply being super inspired by them. No, it's not like that. Where's the action? Where's the effort? Where are the times where you make loads and loads of mistakes and learn from them? You don't become great by being inspired. You become great after a long process of trial and error. And if you're able to learn from your mistakes, then you're closer to become great. Guys, you need to be very careful about the inspire talking because yes, it can be very captivating, it can be very attractive, but if it doesn't lead to action, then it's useless. useless. And people love to feel that they are in the fairy tale, because this is a fairy tale. Because you release the serotonin, you release the dopamine and all of that good stuff. But again, if you don't take the second step, the action step, which is probably the hardest one, then it's just a pure waste of time. So to conclude, my goal was to put light on the figure of Simon Sinek and his masterpiece, Start With Why. Again, I'm nobody to criticize him. He's done way more stuff than I did, so I'm not here to merely debunk him. The thing is that people get easily mesmerized by somebody who seems to know everything, who has like such an inspiring attitude. So you want to make sure that you are truly listening to what these people are saying, that they can give you substantial evidence to prove what they are saying, because they can sometimes fall into the guru category, which is not the very best. So be careful, guys. So this was me, Martina. Welcome to the Centered Leader again. Please hit the like button below and subscribe to my channel. It will be very helpful, and see you soon. Ciao.